Garrett Ziegler, founder of the non-profit Marco Polo and a former aide to Donald Trump. Thanks so much for your time. Donald Trump's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, he gave you the copy of Hunter Biden's infamous laptop in 2020. When you first went through this, what was your reaction?
Well, it's unprecedented in American history in that we have this much primary source material from a sitting American president. Usually it takes decades for a presidential library's archives to be opened, sometimes even after the man dies. And so for us to have this much primary source material and unfiltered, this laptop is full of photos, videos, voicemails, calendar entries. So you really get a view of what they actually are like, not the patina that they project to the public.
So the New York Post first broke the story on October 14th in 2020 because they were also given the laptop by Giuliani, and this was just 3 weeks before the presidential election. But remember, it was passed off as Russian disinformation. What was your reaction to that and the fact that down the track, once Joe Biden was actually elected, this content was verified?
Well, I didn't get the copy until after the election, and it just shows that there was a bipartisan operation to protect Joe Biden. Most people don't realize, and we go into this in our dossier, 644-page report on the Biden laptop, that there were more Republican signatories on that letter than Democrats, and that is hardly ever talked about. So this was really a bipartisan operation, a cover-up operation to throw cold water on what are totally authentic photos, emails, and text messages.
So you've released over 130,000 emails, which we covered last year. You've released documents.
Yes.
You're about to release Hunter's photos from the laptop. What actually incriminating things did you find on there?
Well, apart from just solicitation and prostitution, there are dozens of drug deals. And remember that it's not just that Hunter Biden is a degenerate and drug user. His own father was the man in the U.S. Senate for over a decade pushing for stronger penalties for crack cocaine users. So the very narcotic that his father penalized and instituted mandatory minimums for was the exact narcotic that his son indulged in. And so it's the height of irony. And so the site you alluded to, BidenLaptopMedia.com, it goes live on June 1st, U.S. time. And it's going to be all the photos from the device minus genitalia. We are redacting that. But like you said, BidenLaptopEmails.com has been online for a year, and we've always wanted to put all the photos up, and we think this is the responsible way to do it. We're redacting genitalia, we're redacting social security numbers and other credit card numbers so that the public can't, commit identity theft, but they get a true picture of this. Is all about transparency. The American people can decide for themselves what they think about the American first family.
So the FBI does have in their possession the actual original laptop. You've got a copy. The New York Post has a copy. Giuliani has a copy. And this is all because the actual owner of the repair shop made the copy. But the physical laptop is in the hands with the FBI. So why hasn't anything been done if there's evidence of, criminal things happening on there?
Behavior. You're right. We just have a copy. And the shop owner, John Paul McIsaac, smartly realized that if the FBI didn't do anything, that the public had a right to know what was on this device. And so he did the right thing. I want everybody to know that the shop owner didn't copy this data without Hunter's consent. Hunter abandoned the whole device and didn't come back for it. And so the shop owner, after 90 days, that device legally became his. He contacted the FBI. The FBI took it via a grand jury subpoena, for which we have the document number, and that's in the dossier, as I alluded to earlier. And all we're doing is revealing what the FBI has had in their possession since December 9th, 2019. That is the date of the subpoena. Now, so your direct question was, why hasn't anything been done? I think that the contents of this device implicate people of both parties. So this isn't just a right-wing operation. There are Republicans in the emails, Republicans in the correspondence. It's really the uniparty that is implicated by this. And so, ergo, the intel agencies are the epicenter of the U.S. uniparty, and so they are like a Pavlovian dog responding to these to this content as a cover-up, and they don't want to even touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's a tragedy. I recognize that it's embarrassing for me as an American to have to say this to an international audience, and my own law enforcement agencies are this corrupt and captured. But the most I can do is lay it out correctly and without any alteration. Not one of those emails, as you alluded to earlier, has been proven to be fabricated or messed with. We're putting it in the exact format that we received it as a copy from the shop owner.
So you have done that. You've categorized everything you found on the laptop into, you've put them under crimes, business-related, sex-related, drug-related. Can you walk me through some of these sex-related crimes that you speak of, probably more so than others? I've been through it and I've seen, you know, it says something about Hunter using pimps.
Yes, absolutely. Very good question. The vast majority of my 2022 was spent in my home office for a very small nonprofit, going through the literal U.S. code. So it's not enough, in my opinion, to say that, you know, Hunter Biden is a degenerate and a criminal. There's a lot of allegations being thrown about Hunter without any particularity. So, for example, moving people across state lines for the purposes of prostitution, that is a human trafficking violation. And we put the statute, we put who he did it to. So we have the women's contact information, and then we put the airline tickets and Amtrak tickets in the dossier so they see that Hunter Biden made this purchase, moved this person across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. So along with human trafficking, there are solicitation offenses at the state level. So every, you know, in no state is prostitution legal in the United States. Brothels are legal in Nevada, but Hunter did not frequent those. He actually used a website called ubergfe.com. And I have spoken with U.S. Congresspeople and senators and their staff about basically taking this website offline. There is a woman named Ekaterina Mareva who ships women across the globe to service high-end clients. And it's literal human trafficking. Hunter spent at that site alone, Maddie, at least $25,000. So we know the people involved. So prostitution, human trafficking, there's drug-related offenses, which we cite the actual state code, so we get in the weeds, and people can make up their own minds about what they think about this behavior.
Yeah, I want to get into the business-related crimes. If you're the average person watching this and you're the average American wanting to know, how does this affect the president? How do these crimes affect what the president is doing, and was he involved? Can you give a general overview to me of how Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's business deals?
It's a very good question, and I think the most important question. Number one, we have correspondence from Hunter with his other business partners, i.e. Tony Bobulinski, James Gillier, Rob Walker, telling them directly that Joe is, quote, his chairman, and Hunter will not go forward with certain business deals unless he gets sign-off from his chairman. So what does this mean? Those deals are not, say, you know, bringing high-tech Japanese technology to the U.S. No. Those deals are consulting contracts with foreign oligarchs. And in particular, those foreign oligarchs are usually in a legally fraught environment where they're wanting a prosecutor in their own country to stand down. For example, let's get very specific. In two countries, Ukraine and Romania, Hunter was hired, along with Rob Walker and other people, his business partner, to lobby U.S. officials to get them to go after their own prosecutors. In the case of Ukraine, it was Mykola Zlochevsky and Viktor Shokin. And in the case of Romania, it was Gabriel Popoviciu and Laura Kövesi. All of this is laid out in our report, as I mentioned. And Hunter's job is very simple. He was to take that foreign oligarch's interest and position, tell U.S. government officials that position, i.e. Joe and other ambassadors like Hans Klim and Jeffrey Pyatt and other people, what those oligarchs wanted from them. And then they were to then go to the foreign government and try to strong arm them. So it's basically Hunter was an unregistered international lobbyist who used his father's position in the U.S. government to then tell the oligarchs, hey, I can get your case in front of high-level Americans. And these consulting contracts, Maddie, range from like $165,000 a month to, at the most, like $250,000 per month. And all the work that Hunter did was just passing along a message. It was literally just lobbying, and he was not registered to do that work. And so how does this affect our national security? In almost every single country that Joe Biden, while vice president, was our point person in, Hunter had business contracts in those countries, and he was basically for sale. Meaning, if you're a foreign oligarch and you're in a pinch legally, hey, I'm Hunter Biden. I can take your case to U.S. ambassadors and my daddy, who's the VP, and we can make your case to your own government. And what can the U.S. Provide in this scenario? Well, they can provide either a carrot or a stick. If you don't do what we want you to do, foreign aid is revoked. If there were legitimate links between Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians, I would investigate them until my heart's content. There just wasn't anything there. And guess what? They had hundreds of subpoenas to do this. My nonprofit, Marco Polo, obviously didn't have the luxury of subpoenas. All we had was a copy of this device, which is a lot. But I'm saying that if we had the luxury of issuing subpoenas, we could get a lot more info.
Now, a lot of the text messages that I have read expose that multiple family members, including Joe Biden, in 2018 were trying to get Hunter Biden to go to rehab. Not long after he did buy this gun, may I just say. Was Hunter engaging in any foreign business deals at this time?
Absolutely. Until April of 2019, Hunter served on Burisma's board as an unregistered foreign agent.
I want to go into the alleged crime that Hunter Biden is currently being investigated out of Delaware. It's just one of the crimes that he is being looked at for since 2018. So on October 12th, 2018, Hunter Biden buys a gun and he ticks that box that said he's not a drug user. He's even written in his memoir that he was doing drugs at that time. If he's found guilty of this, he's punishable for up to 10 years in jail. Now, what evidence do you have from this time in his life that proves that he probably was on drugs and has committed this crime?
It's a very good question. We have within the week pictures of him smoking crack cocaine and with a meth pipe in his mouth. Most people don't realize that Hunter's own sister, Ashley, accused him and Hale Biden, his brother's widow, of not only ingesting crack cocaine, but smoking meth. And so we have a picture on October 3rd, 2020, of a meth pipe in Hunter Biden's mouth, only, a week and change from the time he bought the gun.
So you don't think, because yes, for anyone watching, that he's obviously under investigation for potential tax crimes, money laundering, and then making this false statement in relation to a gun purchase. It's been going on for 5 years and there is no prosecution, there's no charges being laid out yet. But even though it's been going on for 2018, and then there was speculation that agents had reached a decision about whether to charge the president's son, but nothing has happened. But if you have actual evidence that he was on drugs at that time, buying a gun, I don't know how it's been taking so long. So you just don't think the DOJ will prosecute him?
No, I think he's too protected. And the second this report came out in October of 2022, we sent a bullet point summary to the U.S. attorney in Delaware. I know that it's a very sobering thought. We can have the son of the U.S. president on video smoking crack cocaine and nothing happens to him.
Yes, very interesting. I guess we'll see what happens there. We obviously saw Hunter's lawyers meeting up with DOJ officials, so who knows if a plea deal's being made there. I want to go through influence peddling. Do you have any examples found on the laptop of that? Because we know that the Republicans have vowed to crack down on the Biden family if there are examples of influence peddling found.
It's a very good question. I don't like when Republicans in the Congress use that term because it's very imprecise and there's no statute prohibiting that. They should use words like FARA and lobbying. So we have multiple scenarios of Hunter breaking lobbying laws, advocating on behalf of somebody and not registering that advocacy, representing foreign principles. But there are scenarios, and we talked about these in the dossier, where it doesn't reach the level of statute violation. For just one example, Joe Biden wrote a recommendation letter to Brown University for the son of Hunter's Chinese business partner, not just recommendation letters, but introductions being made, tours of the White House being given out. One time there's a tour of the White House by a group of Chinese entrepreneurs, and Hunter sets it all up. We have the emails. And so these are things that normal foreign oligarchs have to hire a lobbyist for. And believe me, those invoices are not chump change. It's like 25 grand just to have a lobbyist set up a meeting for you. And Hunter's doing it willy-nilly without being registered. That's a clear example of influence peddling.
Okay, so tomorrow you are releasing this treasure trove of photos after a year of going through them. What do these show?
They show not only illegal activity concerning drugs and prostitutes, they show 11 years of the American First family's personal life. everything from controversies about Joe. There's nude photos of multiple Biden family members. Normal people don't have those photos. A normal American family wouldn't have naked pictures strewn about on just one device. It's insane stuff. Like I said at the top of the interview, we're redacting the genitalia. Everything from graduations, internal fights, you know, a lot of screenshots, a lot of family arguing about Hunter and Hallie getting clean. Because one thing that I know you and I talked about briefly is that Hallie Biden, his brother's widow, she was on crack cocaine for years. So, you know, people can draw their own conclusions, but they're going to get, if they want transparency, they're going to get it. They're going to see how this family lives.
I want to get into what you just said before about Hallie Biden, because to the average person, it would be kind of weird that his deceased brother, he's now dating or sleeping with his deceased brother's widower. And I've seen the photos engaging in sex acts and sending naked photos to each other. But is any kind of chat between the family, touching on what you were saying before, of it being a bit of a weird, like what was the response from the actual family members?
Well, there's a really sad interaction that occurred in March of 2017 when the New York Post broke this story. And Hunter basically strong-armed Joe to support the relationship. The U.S. president supported an affair between his son and his son's widow. You can't make it up. And Hunter was very happy that Joe offered his support for their affair because, quote, his daughters wouldn't have accepted it and talked to him otherwise. So this is what kind of influence Joe Biden has had. His own granddaughters knew in their bones that this was immoral and disgusting. And yet Joe supported it and gave a quote of support to not only New York Post, but Vanity Fair. And so you're right. This is in most Western and even the world over despicable behavior, where he doesn't even wait until his wife divorces him. We have photographic proof that they were engaging in an affair while Hunter was still married to Kathleen, the mother of his 3 daughters.
Yeah. Obviously, the photos are quite explicit, and Hunter is obviously quite a damaged man. But why should Americans care about this? Regardless of the fact that he is the president's son, why should Americans look at this laptop and think this is dodgy and affects their life when he is still a private citizen?
It's a very good question. If Hunter were merely a degenerate and didn't have anything to do with international business, I would not have dedicated 18 months of my life to this. And if Hunter were just the son of a U.S. senator, let's assume that Joey never made it to the vice presidency in the Oval Office, I wouldn't have dedicated this much time. But while they're going through the photos, I want people to understand that this person was cutting international business deals in the millions of dollars. So, for example, many U.S. presidents have had degenerate family members. Amy Carter, the daughter of Jimmy Carter, who Joe is sort of taking after and emulating, his daughter got kicked out of Brown University for smoking dope. Okay, so this isn't a new story to have degenerate progeny of the U.S. president. What is unprecedented is the fact that Hunter played the role of international businessman while being degenerate. And not just international businessman, Maddie. He wasn't in business with the Japanese or the Australians or the English. He was going to Ukraine, Romania, Libya, China, Kazakhstan, Mexico. That's where he was going. So they should care about it because he was committing federal felonies with foreign oligarchs. And on top of that, he was a complete degenerate. That is absolutely provable from the material.
How do you verify the contents of the laptop, the photos, the emails, the text messages, the WhatsApp messages, everything? How do you verify this so that you don't have another example of Russian disinformation being thrown around so that people can start taking this seriously before a federal election?
Well, it's a very good question. Number one, that's why we put the emails out first. On BidenLaptopEmails.com, not only can viewers or can users type in a search term and get all of the results from that term. So let's say they want to type in Ukraine or cocaine or Joe Biden. They're going to get all the results from those keywords, but they can actually download the email files themselves and go through the metadata. Anybody on planet Earth with an internet connection, even if you're in Australia, Queenstown, New Zealand, you can go to BidenLaptopEmails.com, download 800 megabytes, i.e. 128,000 emails, and you can go through the metadata yourself. And you can see that this DNS name server is responsible for this mailbox and it goes to this email. They can verify it themselves. The photos, videos, calendar entries. It's a very good question. Within these photos, there is EXIF data, latitude, longitude, date of date that the photo was digitized. And so what we do is we look at the EXIF data within the photo, then look at his calendar entries and other email data to prove that he was in the location at that time that the photo was taken. So we do cross-referencing between different types of data within the device. It's called splicing. It's very common in digital forensics.
Yeah. Just finally, Garrett, Biden's obviously announced that he is running in the 2024 presidential election. What do you think this laptop and this interview and any other media you do going forward, what do you think this will say about the man running to lead the country again?
Unlike political consultants or other people paid by Donald Trump's campaign, we can't be political. We are only telling people to look at the data themselves and make up their own mind. I can't tell people what to think. I can only show them the photos and the emails and the videos and the calendar entries, and they can make up their own informed opinion. If this is, let's put it this way. If the guy who sits in the Oval runs his family like this, and this is not my opinion, they view him as their patriarch. If he is the patriarch of this family that behaves in this way, do we really want him to be the patriarch of the United States? I mean, he can't run his household. That's a question, not an answer.
Garrett Ziegler, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Maddie. God bless.